that's all. All right, hey, what's up, guys? I'm gonna do some puppy drafts today. I'm gonna hop in real quick, then I'll get over to the chat. So I'm gonna do the 20-second puppy, and I'm gonna join right now. Sorry about that. I'm just trying to figure out the chat thing. Uh, hey Steve, how's it going? JT Best Ball, what's up, bro? About to be driving, but we'll kick it back on when I get home for sure. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Sweet thumbnail, by the way. Thanks. Yeah, I've been doing some of the just been trying to make them in like the Canva or whatever with the thumbnails. Uh, 1 second. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to get the chat to pull up. Sorry about that. Hey, what's up, BMO Cowboy? Tyler, howdy. What's up, man? Um, Sorry, I'm having a little bit of trouble pulling the chat up on the screen. Sorry about that. Um, I'll I'll figure that out in a second. Sorry. Um. So the draft all started. Oh. Oh, I'm muted. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Let me mess with my settings. Um. Okay. Is that better? Um. um okay, that's better. All right. Cool. Thank you. Um. I'm I'm sorry, guys. I thought I had it all like set up okay. Uh, Not muted, just super low still. Um, okay, I'll just turn my gain up. That should fix it. Like if I set it to there. Uh, I spent 3 months with my mic backwards. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's a little bit just all the different sources and stuff. It just gets a little bit confusing at first. Um, is that is that pretty good now? Oh, I'm on the clock right now. So I'm gonna grab Jacobs here to go with Jamar Chase, and then I'll probably just do the Marvin Harrison, just get the little Cincinnati, Arizona, kind of the chalky start. Um, very good. Okay, it's better now. Okay, cool. All right, thank you guys. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully it'll be a little bit smoother after this. Just still trying to get it. I was messing with the mic a lot because I noticed I was getting a lot of like background noise, so I was doing a lot of messing with that. But hopefully that's a little bit better now. Um, still good on your end. Okay, okay, awesome, awesome, great. All right. Uh, all right, and thank you guys all for stopping by. I really appreciate it. JT Best Ball, Tyler, Steve Hoop, Best Ball on Call. I really appreciate all you guys stopping by. Thank you. Sorry it's having a little bit of trouble at first. I but I'll keep kind of improving on it, and hopefully it'll be a lot smoother kind of as I do a couple more of these and stuff. Um I'll just oh, sorry. I minimized it. Sorry about that. I was trying to mess with the like chat thing. Um I might not be able to pull up the chat during this, but I'll like read it out. Um I'll mess with the chat a little bit like in between the drafts or something like after this one. Uh yeah, sorry about that. Was you're worried. Board is gone. We're back now. Nice. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the setup on the screen should be all good now. I'm just having a little bit of trouble with the chat thing. But but let me okay, yeah, let me mess with it for just a second. Um and I'll hopefully I'll be able to pull up the chat. All right, that should work. Uh, I'm writing all this down and give your boss a grade at the end. oh, well, hopefully I can save it at the end. Right now it's probably about an F, but hopefully it improves a little bit at the end, and I can skate by with like a D or something. but but yeah, it's weird. I'm using like the Streamlabs, so the chat thing. I have like a little like widget that pulls up the chat. So it's a little bit weird. It's not like the StreamYard, like I can't just like select them or whatever. Um all right. I'm one pick away, so I'll make my picks here quick. Okay, so I got Josh Jacobs, Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison start. So I have that Cincinnati Arizona stack. Um I'm gonna push Burrow here. I'm not I don't know. I mean, he probably won't come back anyway, but I just don't really like taking Burrow at the turn. Maybe unless I have the double stack, I don't really think it's like worth it. Maybe on occasion. So let's go to the ranks. I'll grab. I like mixing a lot here. Uh, yeah, I'll grab Mixon here. I think I'll do kind of a more balanced start with like two running backs, two receivers, tight end. Probably kind of hammer receivers a little bit more in the next like two rounds. Uh, I kind of mix it up, whether I go like kind of hero RB or maybe get like two kind of workhorse guys at the beginning, And then I like with Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison. I think that's like a good start to the receiver room. Kind of grabbing a tight end. I want to like really focus on receiver now the next couple rounds. All right, so let me pull back up the board. Um, sup, Nick Constantino. Sup, everybody. Beautiful day to draft. Yeah, yeah, definitely. Every day is a beautiful day to draft. Indeed, Nick. Uh, okay, so I'm gonna messing with the chat setting a little bit. Sorry. Browser source, ad source. Okay. Paste. Okay, so that still looks fine. Uh, all right. So hopefully that shows up on the stream. Um, control use custom frame rate. All right. Um, okay, I'm gonna go back to the. I'll go back to the draft now. I might not be able to pull up the chat right now. Sorry about that. Um, I'm just gonna kind of talk about the draft a little bit since I'm a couple rounds and I haven't really said too much. Sorry. Um, so anyways, with my start though, so I got that Cincinnati Arizona kind of chalky like week 17 stack. Um, usually I wouldn't touchdown upside guy. He'll have like a really good workload, and I think they could have like a really good offense there. Like he scored a lot of touchdowns even with missing a few games like last year, and I think he's like a pretty good value right there where he goes. He kind of is maybe a little bit of a tier above like all these other guys like Kamara, Chuba, Kenneth Walker, James Conner to me. Um, and then I'm actually a pretty big fan of grabbing Kittle. I think even though maybe in that like SF offense there could be a lot of mouths to feed, I think Kittle can, he can compete really with these like top two guys with McBride and Bowers. I think especially if he keeps his main target role, which he should, and if Jawan Jennings maybe he kind of stays in a similar role but doesn't really take much of a step, or Ricky doesn't take much of a step, or Ayuk kind of starts out pretty slow. I think that could give Kittle access to spike weeks, just like any of those top two guys, or just like any other tight end in the game. Um, so right here, so I'm definitely gonna grab Ricky. That kind of gives me that Niners double stack. And then I think I'm leaning Diggs. So I'm gonna grab Ricky, and then I'll kind of be looking for a bear in the next round too if anyone's available. Like if Swift makes it or Bird makes it. Um, I think I'm also gonna grab Diggs. I could grab Golden or Jacoby also. Uh, I lean a little bit more Diggs, and that opens up May. I'm a big fan of May this year. I also don't have a ton of Diggs. I only had 2.3% of them so far. Um, so I really like that because that just opens up a quarterback I really like, opens up a stack I really like. Uh, I agree. A lot went wrong for Mixon last year, and he was very productive. Texans as a whole improved, which they should with new coaches, OL depth, wide receiver talent. Mixon could boost his TDs. Yeah, yeah, no, I think so too. I think he could have. he could just have like a really high touchdown production year. And I think even with them adding Woody Marks in the third round, or third or fourth round, like they traded up for him. I think they picked him in the fourth, but traded up a third from next year for it. Um, I think he's kind of more of like a pass catching specialist. So I don't totally see him taking Mixon off the field much. I mean, obviously they gave up some value for him, but he wasn't really a much like, not a lot of people were very high on him as a prospect. So I don't think Mixon will cede like a ton of work to him, maybe some passing down. But if the offense as a whole improves, with the new coaching system and like hopefully a more functional offensive line, even though they didn't add a ton of talent, I really do think his touchdown upside could improve. Oh, let me go back to the board. Sorry. But yeah, I really think his touchdown upside could improve. And, obviously you're always hoping for him to stay healthy. But but I think like as long as he's on the field, he'll be their main bell cow and hopefully an improving offense. So I like him where he goes. I think he is like a small tier above these other guys. Like obviously Harvey could compete with Mixon. He's probably in an even better system. It's just, with the rookie and especially with Sean Payton liking to kind of do a little bit more of a committee, it's a tough bet. I think that bet, especially where Harvey goes, it's a little bit steep right now. I'm kind of hoping he falls back down maybe to like the 5-6 turn would be nice. I mean that was a little early for Harvey, but I think his ADP is right in the middle of the fifth round. Um, and I think like, Chuba could compete, but obviously you're doing a lot of projection with that Carolina offense as well. Um, Kenneth Walker and Connor, they kind of have the same concerns with the injuries and stuff. And then Trevion, same thing, rookie, and he has Ramondre in his way, so it could be a little bit tough for him to really get enough of a role to be like productive for you. Um, yeah, I think let's see what anyone else is doing in here. Um, so nothing too real like weird or interesting going on in this one. Um, Everything seems pretty much normal in this room. Uh, let's see. That was a little bit early for Laporta, maybe, but nothing too crazy. It seems like everyone's building pretty good overall. Getting like a good mixture. Good receiver power. No one's really going like super heavy RB or just zero RB completely. It seems like a pretty solid room all around. Uh, so I think I'm about to be up. Oh, Nick Constantino. Thoughts on Burden and the soft tissue injury, buying the dip or pausing for more info? Um, I'm definitely leaning. Actually, I'll pick. I'll pick him right now. Uh, I'm leaning definitely more towards buying the dip. Just because I think with soft tissue, I mean, we're still in May. It's not like a knee issue or something you'd really be. I could grab. Let me make this pick quick, and I'll talk more on that. I think I'll grab Caleb with the single stack. I'm a little worried Purdy might not make it back, and I do like Caleb quite a bit more than Purdy. I'll talk a little bit more about that after, but back to Nick's question. Uh, Thoughts on Burden and soft tissue injury? I think I'm buying the dip because it's May, and when you're talking about soft tissue, if they just shut him down for a week or two, actually, Steve and Meg were talking about this a little bit yesterday on their channel, FanSpeak. Uh, it's so far out with such a minor injury. I don't think you can really be too worried about it at this point. I think I would just be buying the dip. He's a player I liked also beforehand. So maybe if you weren't really in on him, then maybe the dip is like actually a chance for you to get him a little bit cheaper. But like for me, I'm not gonna be picking him like crazy just because he's dipping, but he's a player I already have a good chunk of. Let me actually see. I'm probably like, yeah, 18.5%. I was gonna say like close to 20. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't really be too concerned. It's just so far away and it shouldn't be something that really like lingers, anything like that. So I wouldn't be too concerned with it. Um, Best ball and call, two versus three tight end. Um, in this build, So in general, if I get Kittle or Bowers or McBride, I would go with two tight end. If I can get someone, my kind of line would be maybe like Njoku. Let me switch it to ADP real quick just so I can see a little more clear. Uh, so my kind of line would be like Kraft and Joku. If I got either of those two on this build, I'm definitely stopping at two. Unless maybe like very last round if I wanted to get like a correlation piece, like let's say if I was doing like a Giants thing and maybe I wanted to throw Theo Johnson on the 18th, like I would do it for maybe correlation, but I'd probably stop at two, definitely with Kraft and Joku, and I could depending on build with Kincaid, Ferguson, Goddard. I'm gonna turn off the one correlation so it looks a little more normal. Yeah, but with Ferguson, Kincaid, Goddard, I would probably stop at two if I got any of those three also. If I got Kittle or McBride, that is, I'm saying. Kittle, McBride, Bowers. So if I get any of those three top tight ends, I would stop at two, probably with Dallas Goddard being my line. And that's kind of debatable. It's just what you feel confident in, like which tight ends you feel confident in as just having a two tight end build. That's kind of my line, but I think like you could reasonably go down to probably where like Brenton Strange, Zach Ertz, even like Fryermuth Henry. I think ending with two with any of those guys is perfectly reasonable. I think once you go much lower than that, I'd probably always want three, even with an elite. Um, and then stopping at two, I would probably mostly do that. Like if I were to get like Loveland, and I'm a real big fan of Njoku and Kraft. So if I were to get like Loveland and Joku Kraft, even without Kittle, I would probably stop at two with just those ones. Um, Something about up. Uh, Loveland went right before me. I was actually looking at him. So I'm definitely gonna grab Drake May here. To go with Stefan Diggs. And then I'm also gonna look at. I could look at Ramondre. Let me. Is Kyle Williams gone? Yeah, Kyle Williams is gone. Uh, so I'll probably grab Ramondre here. Just to kind of give me a little bit more like, or actually, I'll grab Charbonnet here. Even though Ramondre correlates, I think Charbonnet maybe gives me a little bit more upside like later, especially since I have two kind of a little bit older, like more established guys as is. I think Charbonnet is better just for a little more upside play. Um, I go back to the chat. Uh, yeah, I'll happily take the extra value on Burden, Steve. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I think just the extra value is just kind of a nothing injury right now. If it keeps lingering, then maybe, but right now it doesn't matter. Fantasy Football Garage, yo, what up? Hey, what's up, man? Fantasy Football Garage. He streams like every night at around like 7:30, I think, my time. Uh, yeah, what's up, man? uh, Steve. Fantasy football or Hartman fantasy football is just getting the 101 streamer luck. Yeah, no, I know. I know. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I mean, the 101 it is cool because you get Jamar Chase, but it's like this side of the board, I'm actually more a fan of being, I don't know, like I like six a lot because you either get a top three running back, top three receiver, or like being at the back half of the board because then it feels like, especially your 1-2 turn, you kind of get like a different tier of players in the second round than you do on the left side of the board in the second round. But I mean, you can definitely make any spot work. But yeah, 101, like, that's the only way you're getting Jamar Chase is, that's the one thing with it is you're rarely ever seeing Jamar Chase not go 101. So to get exposure to him, yeah, you gotta get lucky with the streamer 101. Um, so let me see what else is going on here. Uh, they got Stroud and Allen. They got him with Nico, MLB Syndicate. I've seen him around quite a bit. I've seen Rohan in the Discord quite a bit. What's he doing? He's got Lamar, T Law. So T Law with Hunter. Um, Lamar not stacked up, but you don't really need to stack up Lamar. Um, And then oh oh sorry, I missed some. Uh Steve, I know it's early right now, but right now it doesn't feel like anyone, myself included, is picking anyone but Chase at the 101. Yeah, no, I agree. It's even though like I don't personally feel like he's giving you a giant edge over like Jefferson and Lamb's possible upside. Like you just kind of have to take him at the 101 or else you're gonna be underweight unless you want to fade him. But that just doesn't seem like a good bet. And I think everyone's maybe kind of in that mindset, even if they don't love Chase, like have him so much higher above. It's just you have to, or you're gonna be underweight on him. Uh, JT best ball, and on the Mixon talk, as a Texan fan, I believe their D will be really good this year. Could see them playing from ahead a lot, and Mixon has always been the type of back that gets better late. Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that. Their defense was I mean they have a lot of nice pieces. I'm not super informed on the Texans defense, but like I know their pass rush was looking pretty good. I mean their corners are looking amazing with Stingley stepping up. I mean Stingley like he's up in debate for best corner in the league. I'm going to grab Jake Ferguson here. I think that's a pretty good pairing with Kittle. And then that kind of gives me the ability to stop at two if I want, but I could grab a third tight end late if I want to for correlation. I'm gonna grab Adam Thielen here, or actually, I'll grab. I could grab Garendo. Okay, I got Thielen. That's fine. That was a little bit early, but I'm kind of hoping Bryce Young comes back, so it's kind of setting that up. Uh, but let me go back to what I was saying to JT. Um, but yeah, like what you were saying with their D will be really good this year, and you could see them playing from ahead a lot. Like I definitely agree with that. I mean, they had so many good young players on their defense last year, and with their pass rush and pass defense improving, I could definitely see that. Also, just with their division, their division's a little bit softer, so like there could be a lot of those games where they're playing from ahead. They're probably the favorite to win the division as is. Um, Steve. Like last year felt like it kind of became a split between CMC and Lamb. Yeah, no, no, that's true for sure actually. Like that was actually a big debate because I think CMC a lot his ADP was as the 101, but then you would see a lot of people take Lamb over him. I think with the underdog landscape, like with a running back being 101, that would probably always happen where some people will take the receiver over them because people just believe a lot more in getting the receiver firepower in this format. So like, but yeah, I do remember that last year where people would really like debate which one to take, which one was better. And I think closer to the end, I mean CMC obviously had the injury concerns, but yeah, they were actually flip flopping. Where I think with Chase, it's just was such a strong year last year. No one's really, no one's really willing to fade him. Uh, at JT Best Ball, that is a good point. Their defense is pretty good. I absolutely could see Mixon getting some big volume games. Yeah, definitely, definitely, yeah. Um, they brought in JT Best Ball. They brought in Gardner Johnson to out with the other young safety. Didn't lose any main starters from last year. Okay, yeah. Yeah, like I knew a lot of their defense was really young and I mean, all the guys that like I'm aware of on the defense, they all seem like they've been pretty good hits and their defense, I mean, it seems like it's performing pretty well. But I mean that's definitely good to know from someone who's like kind of a fan of the team, you have a little bit deeper knowledge of the team than like I would, especially on defensive side. Uh, Steve. Oh yeah, Steve. I'm using your I'm using your rankings actually. That was that was why Adam Thielen was at the top right there. I actually like Thielen a lot too. I mean I'm real in on all the Panthers, but you said I'm obviously bullish on Thielen. Sure, maybe you could have waited, but I bet he dust most of those other wide receivers being drafted in between. Yeah, yeah, like Palmer, Pierce, Jalen Noel. Um, I mean Jalen Noel, he could get a role later in the year, but it's just real scary with Kirk. He could be the wide receiver four. I think the guys at the top of ADP actually were Quentin Johnston, Jalen McMillan, and I'm like basically never picking Jalen McMillan right now. I kind of want to see if he falls more. Maybe I'll mix him in a little. If someone gets hurt, he could be good. Like contingent play, but I don't really love a contingent play at wide receiver. Oh, Bryce Young goes right before me. Um, but yeah, like Quentin Johnston, Jalen McMillan. I mean, they got kind of replaced in the draft. Like, I'm sure they'll still see the field. I'm gonna grab Dobbins here. He's the top running back available. Um, I mean, and then I could grab Shipley here, just kind of finish my running back room, or let me look at wide receiver. Uh, I could grab, yeah, I'll probably just grab Shipley and finish at running back. That's probably fine. Um, it was like a little early, but it's just like when you're on the turn, you have to like, you do kind of have to reach a little, especially like Shipley. There was no way he was coming back. Dobbins, maybe I could have pushed a little. I'm getting a little bit used to like switching back with the rankings and the ADP because like I do like the rankings, but then like yeah, sometimes you see a guy at the top and you're like oh he's like about to go, and then he might be a little bit further back in ADP, but like that that's the point of rankings, right? So that I know like how much of a difference you have kind of on the guy, so it makes total sense. I'm just getting a little bit used to it. Um, oh yeah, but what you were saying about Thielen, I totally agree. I think he could really beat like a lot of those guys that go like right after him. Right before him, there is kind of a gap. But even then, like Hollywood, Christian Kirk, he could definitely beat those guys. And like you were saying about the Panthers too, like I think I agree with that. Like I'm super in on the Panthers this year. I think I have a lot of Bryce. Yeah, I have like 15% Bryce Young. Um, so yeah, I'm really in on him taking the step and just kind of buying into the offense as a whole. I'm really high on Tet McMillan too. I think just with his draft capital and with his just with his past production, I'm really high on him. So I'm definitely bought in on the Panthers as well. Oh, and then he said, and I love Bryce Young as a third QB. Oh yeah, I would have grabbed him for sure if he came back. Um, JT Best Ball exactly. I figured you were Steve's true. I figured you were using my rankings. Yeah, 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 definitely. I got yours and Meg's like downloaded, so I'm trying. I'm just kind of trying them out. Like I really like it too. Like I do a good amount of volume, so I like it just to get a little bit of variety. Because I notice sometimes like having the overlay and everything does help with varying my exposures and all that. But sometimes it does get really easy to just grab the same guy over and over when he's like, oh, he's only 5, 6 ADP spots away. I'll just grab him. Where kind of, going with different rankings of people that like obviously I respect your guys' opinions and stuff. And maybe we don't have exactly the same take on every player, but that's kind of good where it can get me a little bit of that exposure difference. Or like if you guys are also high on a player, then that makes me, even more confident on the guy and make me want to take him a little bit more. So it's like it is nice, I think, to use the different rankings and kind of get a different like feel for it. And just kind of vary up my teams, my exposures, like with those rankings, those different opinions and stuff. Um, oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah, no, and I was reading some of the articles you guys are putting out. Like, you guys are putting out really good content on the. It's the fan speak. Uh, it's the fan speak like best ball or fan speak best ball at Substack. That's what it is. Yeah, um, yeah, this like, yeah, this yeah, like Fanspeak's putting out like real good stuff, real good articles. Meg and Steve, they're putting out like multiple articles a week, like real good information. Oh, I'm about up. Uh, here, so I'll definitely grab Slayton here. Um, I am pretty heavy on week 14 buys actually. I'm gonna grab Keenan, and then I'll grab Calvin Austin, and that should be pretty good right there. I'm done at running back, I think. Um, I will probably lean I might lean towards a third tight end, or I might lean towards like a around this team. This actually looks pretty fine. My last pick when it comes back around, but I'll kind of see what's there. But I got Keenan and Calvin Austin there. Um, Okay, so same. I think McMillan is around 17 or 18 guy. Yeah, I agree. I just can't click him right now. Like if he holds in round 14, 15, I'll get some just to have a little exposure, but it'll just be a couple percent. I'm not even really in on him unless he falls to like, even like 16, 17 range. I'm not really in on him unless he falls to there. Uh, JT Best Ball. Shipley is so undervalued for his role on that team, in my opinion. I always try and grab on a non-Barkley team when I can. Yeah, yeah, no, I'm pretty big on Shipley too. I think just like it's not really like he's gonna mix in with Barkley a ton, but Barkley with the amount of carries, the amount of work he saw last year, like on a team like that that's built to run, Shipley has gigantic like contingent upside. And also I feel like they have AJ Dillon, sure, but Shipley to me is, kind of a locked in RB2 when some of these guys down here, like you see like Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens, Devin Neal, I think those guys have a good chance to be the RB2 on their team, of course, but or Blake Corn, for example, too, right there. But like you see these four guys, you can't really guarantee that they're the RB2, especially at this point. I mean, Giddens, I would say is maybe the most likely, but he was a later round pick. They still have Khalil Herbert, I believe, right? Yeah, they still have Khalil Herbert on Indy. So I mean, I don't even know how confirmed that would be that Giddens would be the main backup. Where like Shipley, like sure they have AJ Dillon. I really don't see AJ Dillon being a factor anymore. I think his time's kind of up. Um, Fantasy Football Garage, Shipley's contingent upside value is Chase Brown. Exactly. Uh, yeah, I mean, if he's the Eagles starting running back, I mean, that's not really that hard to see. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, he would be like out of all these guys down here, I mean, if the starter were to go down or get traded or whatever, I I mean, I think out of all these guys, Shipley would be the best pick. Like all these like even round 14 down. I think Shipley would be the best one if the starter were to go down out of any of these running backs picked. Um I think Lloyd would be good. I think Braylon would be good. But, Rico would probably be fine. He might get in a little bit of competition with Trevor Etienne. But like out of all these guys, I think Shipley would give you the most contingent upside. And and I even grabbed him a little bit ahead. He kind of goes more around 16. So it is kind of surprising, like but you are seeing him rise. So I guess it's not too surprising. I think he'll continue to rise. Um, he'll continue to probably go up until he's in maybe I could see him settling probably like right in that end of round 13, like 13, 14 turn. I think he should go right around Braylon. Because I think the guys above maybe have a little more upside without an injury. But I think right around Braylon would be fair. He could even push up to like closer to Algier, but that does seem like Algier would be a little bit maybe higher regard than Shipley. Um, so for this, I'm gonna probably lean sixth running back. Um, yeah, I could grab Terrence Ferguson. I mean, I like Terrence Ferguson as a late season play. I am a big fan of Brashard Smith. I don't really have much yet, so I'm just gonna grab Brashard Smith. Uh, okay, I think, or I got him, but the draft ended. Uh, so I'll go over my team real quick, and then or let me catch up with you guys real quick. Steve, I think Shipley and Justice Hill are my favorites in that range. Yeah, I could see that, especially with I mean the Ravens are kind of a similar bet where if Henry goes down, they're a very high scoring offense. He could have really good contingent upside. I am a little bit of a Keaton Mitchell truther, but I absolutely see the case for Justice Hill. He'll be the main guy. He'll get the most work if Henry were to go down, and that totally makes sense. They really trust him. They trust him in the passing game, and that's the nice part with Justice Hill too. Is even with Henry available, he could give you a usable week or a couple usable weeks if he can break like a decent pass, or even last year he had a couple weeks that were pretty good, just like kind of getting a decent amount of receptions and everything. Um, Fantasy Football Garage, I want more Justice Hill for a similar reason. Yeah, I agree. Fantasy Football Garage, great minds think alike, grinning face with smiling eyes. Steve, Steve, Fantasy Football Garage, get out of my head. um, all right. But yeah, I totally agree with you guys on Justice Hill. I could see him being a good contingent play this year. And especially with the team and the role he could have and just how high of a scoring offense they are. But so I'll go over my team real quick and I'll jump into probably another puppy unless you guys want to draft something else. I'm pretty much open to pretty much any of the contests. Just let me know. Um, I think yeah, I can do any of them. So just let me know whatever you guys want to do. Uh, so I got Caleb Williams, Drake May at quarterback. I feel pretty good with that room. Probably would have aimed to add a third on. I would have grabbed Bryce if he came back. But I feel okay having those two. It is a little bit risky because they're both year two guys. You're hoping to take the leap. Um, but I have pretty big confidence in both of them, and they both do have good rushing floors. So I think that gives me some stability. Maybe even if it does take them a little bit to like improve or adjust to like for Caleb adjust to the new offensive system, or just May kind of get it going. He has a lot of new weapons and everything. Um, and then at running back, I got Jacobs, Joe Mixon, Zach Charbonnet, J.K. Dobbins, Will Shipley. Uh, I feel pretty good with that. Dobbins, he's a little more risky just because you're worried about him signing, or like worst case he goes back to the Chargers. But if he's back on the Chargers, he's basically a zero. But with my two kind of like I would call this like similar like double anchor build. I feel pretty good with my running back room. I like Charbonnet's contingent value, especially a trade could happen, but even without, he should get worked in. Maybe give you some usable weeks. Dobbins hoping he signed. Shipley, good contingent upside. I think the running back room looks okay overall. Maybe a little bit light, like a little bit fragile. Um, at receiver, I got Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison, Ricky Pearsall, Stephon Diggs, Luther Burden, Adam Thielen, Keenan Allen, and Calvin Austin. Uh, I think I think with that receiver room, I feel pretty good overall about it. I think I have enough volume to, kind of make up for the fact that I didn't spend a ton of capital very early. I got a couple mid round guys. So, I think it is a little bit more risky with Ricky, Diggs, Burden. Ricky, obviously, there's a lot of projection that goes with him. Like, you're hoping he improves when we haven't seen it really a ton. It's really just like a couple games at the end. Um, and just a lot of kind of hope for him as a player, but not a lot of like actual data to really back it up. And I understand that. With Diggs, it's just the injury, returning from the injury. I think his role could be really good. I think the team will be really improved, but his injury at his age can be a little bit concerning. Burden, just a rookie, so obviously you're taking a risk there. Thielen, Keenan, Calvin Austin. I think with Thielen and Keenan, they're both good target getters. Keenan obviously just need him to sign, but big dog. I'll look at that in a second. Uh, and then Thielen should be pretty consistent. So wide receiver room, feel pretty good about it overall. I think it's a good balance. Tight end, George Kittle, Jake first, and I feel pretty solid with that. I think overall it's a solid team. I think I maybe could have done a few things differently on it. It feels like pretty well balanced overall though. Not like super weak at any position, but not like a super strength at any position either. Um, okay, so let me get back to this real quick. Steve, yeah, Justice Hill had 4 10+ point games last year despite missing a couple. Oh yeah, yeah. So you can definitely hit your lineup even without Henry like missing time or anything. JT Best Ball, haha, Keaton Missile as Liam called him once. I've been JT Best Ball. I've been calling him Keaton Missile for months. I'm an OG Keaton Missile truther. Uh, Constantino, big dog. That is the only one. That is the only one probably off the table. This is the big dog. Other than that, literally, I'll do any of the drafts: marathon, sprint, BBM eliminator, puppy, schnauzer, weekly winners. Um, doesn't totally matter to me. If you guys don't have too strong of an opinion, then I'll probably just hop in another puppy. Um, but any of them other than the big dog, I'll do any of those. Let's do a puppy. Okay. Do you? So I think I'll do 20 second. Unless you want 30 second, and I'll count it down like before I actually join it though. So I'll do 20 second. I'll give you a few seconds just in case, but I'll probably do 20 second. Um, I'll give you a few seconds. I'm gonna actually mess with the chat thing for just a second. Um, oh, 20. Okay, 20 second works. Okay, so I'll count it down. Uh, all right. So I'm gonna join the 20 second puppy in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Waiting on 5. 20 second puppy. Uh, I'll actually go on the. Um. All right. Um. And I'll actually switch my rankings real quick over to Meg's rankings. So then kind of like I was saying, just get a little bit different. Just get a little bit different feel. I'm gonna kind of just switch them around, just kind of as I go, just here and there. Some I'll go off ADP, some I'll go off like these rankings, those rankings, stuff like that. I also have a Pat like fantasy dog pounds rankings in here. Um, but this one, so I got Meg's rankings loaded in, so I'll try with those. Uh, all right, that looks pretty good for the overlay then. Yeah, I'll leave it like that. All right, so I got the 8 slot, and then it's got Steve in the 11. Um, I think he's the only one. Yeah, he's the only one who joined also. Uh, yeah, so we got the 8 spot. Oh, Nick Constantino. Wish I could join already maxed. Oh wow, I'm not too far off. I have like 40 left. About I've done like 110 puppies. Steve in. Yep. Steve's at the 11. Uh, Nick. Wow, it's filling quickly. 82%. Yeah, I think maybe the New York crowd. It's just like they couldn't do them for the first couple weeks, so they're just like piling in now that they can. Um, I mean it must be the New York crowd because it's been jumping like crazy. Oh, what did Steve say? Yeah, the puppy filled like 5% since roughly this time yesterday. Oh wow, it's up that. I guess I didn't even really look at how much it jumped today. 5% in a day. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. I think well, that's what you were saying. You were saying like next week by the end of the week. I think that'll probably be pretty dead on. If not even like a little sooner. Yeah, probably next week by the end of the week, because probably early in the week it might slow down a little. But once it starts getting close, it might kind of speed back up. So a little tough to say. So I think so at 8, I am probably looking at I'm looking at Neighbors or Genty. Uh my next pick will be like 15, so I should be able to get a receiver I like. So I'll grab Genty. He was the highest one in the rankings. He was number 7, Neighbors number 8. Uh I'm actually I kind of agree with the like how your guys' rankings are, or at least Meg's rankings. I think yours are similar. Where like I'm a little bit lower on Puka. Definitely not fading him, but I am a little bit lower on him. Let me go back to the board. Sorry. Uh, I think this fills by Wednesday or Thursday next week. Yeah, I definitely I agree with that. I think it'll be probably right around then. Yeah. Nick Constantino. I went to PA and maxed it in slows. Can't wait to rip some fast. Oh, okay, got you. So you just did them like all at once, basically. Um, I think it was Steve. I think it was like 77% when PPR Tyler was streaming in the afternoon. Yeah, yeah, it was like just over 77 or like right at 77. So yeah, now it's at what did it say, 82 or 81.3. So yeah, that's crazy. And it's yeah, quite a bit earlier in the day and I'll probably get a decent amount today. Um so I'm gonna grab AJ Brown here. I I could grab Taylor, kind of get the double anchor. I mean that might be kind of interesting actually. I don't usually do that. I usually like to grab at least one receiver in that like opening round, but I know Steve, you're quite a bit lower on AJ Brown, probably like pass volume related, I'd imagine. Um, but that is kind of interesting start, just having the real like double anchor. Now I need to really like pound receiver. Um, and especially I'm not really in a spot where I'll probably look at like an elite tight end again or anything. Probably won't look at an elite quarterback on this one. Like I'll probably go maybe like 4 or 5 straight receivers, kind of see how that goes. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I like kind of trying that, even though that's not like my normal build. I like kind of trying that with the different build types. You know, Jonathan Taylor was the top guy in the rankings, so kind of try it out with the double RB start. I definitely do like being strong at RB. Um, Same thing with me, Steve from Nick. Steve, yeah, it's totally the pass volume for me with Brown. Yeah, and I can totally see that. I'm a little bit more of the mindset that maybe they'll increase pass volume a little bit just because they were so far below in like pass rate over expected. I think they were the lowest in the league if I'm remembering right. But they were down there either way. Um, but I do still agree they're going to be a very run heavy offense. You know, Jalen Hurts is not going to come out and throw 600 passes or something like that. Actually, I do kind of want to see how many pass attempts. Like, yeah, so he only threw 361 last year, but even his averages are maybe more like low to mid 400s. He did have a 538 year 2 years ago, but they really didn't have a running game to speak of. Um, I do think with Barkley there, like they will still continue to be one of the run heaviest teams in the league, but maybe Hurts gets a little bit closer to like that 400 to like 430 range of pass attempts. Even then, that's just a really low volume for a guy you're taking that high up. Um, so usually I would be open to elite QB, but I'm gonna pass on that here. I like Mike Evans. I'll grab Mike Evans here. Um, I could grab Rice maybe. I mean, Mike Evans will be pretty consistent. So I like Mike Evans, especially when I don't have a guy in the first 2 rounds. He's just a consistent guy. Should be a good touchdown scorer. Um, just every year. I mean, that's the name of his game is consistency. And he's a good touchdown scorer. He can really spike on touchdowns. Great offense. Should get good target volume even with the rookie coming in. Let's see what Steve does here. Uh, Oh, yeah, it's totally passing volume for me with Brown. It's just so hard for him to compete for a top five receiver with that volume. Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I don't really think he can compete with those like round one guys. Um, I do think if he got a little bit more volume, I think he could kind of separate though from these like 2, 3 turn guys. More is the case. Um, but that's with more volume. That's risky, and he is a guy who's dealt with injuries and stuff too. They should be one of the run heaviest teams in the league. I just worry that their defense is just too good. That's totally fair, yeah. Oh, and Hurts missed 3 games last year, but yeah, still very low numbers. Okay, right. Yeah, I guess I was kind of forgetting about that. So he averages maybe in that same like low 400s range then, but even then, that's really low volume. Okay, so here I'm looking at uh I'm actually gonna go Tet. Um and I think kind of why I would go Tet there over like DK. I do like DK. Um but I think the thing with Tet there is that opens up a quarterback for me where DK really doesn't unless I want to go pick Aaron Rodgers and hope he goes there. But with this build starting running back heavy, I want to have more QB options available to me later. And I am a big fan of Tet. Like I take Tet around here very often. I have a decent amount of DK too, though. I like him. So let's see what Steve did. So you got Amon Ra, Brian Thomas, Rashi Rice, Lamar Jackson. Uh, yeah, I mean, I love that start. Being able to get like Brian Thomas back with Amon Ra, like that always feels great. If you're able to pair up Brian Thomas with any of these like top three guys or Nico, that always feels great. And then Rashi Rice, like at 35, I mean, I think that's pretty good value on him. His ADP, it's got to be closer to 30 now, right? Yeah, 29.6. So yeah, that's really good value on Rashi Rice. And I mean, I'm a huge Rashi Rice fan. I know like you guys were talking a little bit about the injury is a little bit concerning, but if he steps back into the main target getting role and Kelsey really does lose another step, like I think he could be a great value. And I think he'll just move up throughout the summer too. So maybe in this sense the time box doesn't matter as much, but in like the bigger, like longer contest, I think grabbing Rice now, even if you don't really like him, could be a good idea because his injury recovery seems to be going well. So he should be like moving up as the summer goes, especially with, you got people like me out here like hyping him up. And I think a lot of people are pretty hyped up on him. So I think now is a good time to kind of grab that exposure. And then Lamar, I think I mean this guy on the at the 12 spot, that's very interesting start getting double elite QB. But I would take Lamar over Jaden every time unless I had Terry maybe. Oh, so here it's Ridley for me for sure. Uh yeah, I'm not even really looking at anyone else. It's Ridley. Mixon would be really good, but with the double RB start, I'm not really considering him there. Um But yeah, I love that start from you, Steve. Like, I think three mega solid receivers, one of the top two QBs in my opinion. Uh, I think that's a great start. And then for my team, I'm pretty happy getting that start. I think two super solid RBs and then three receivers who should be getting good target volume. Hopefully improving offenses for Carolina and Tennessee, and hopefully a good offense for Mike Evans. Steve, I agree. I think there is a drop off after Brown. Really, only Higgins of the next couple I think can compete with him. I 100% agree with that. 100%. Uh, Higgins Higgins could definitely compete with those top guys, especially if he runs hotter on touchdowns. But the other guys behind that, it's really hard to see the case. Like maybe they could, maybe Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison take a leap or the new offense works great for them, but it is very hard to see them competing where T Higgins, AJ Brown is not too hard to see the case where they compete. uh Steve, yeah, I don't have a lot of rice because I don't like taking him at the 2-3 turn, but I get him at the 3-4, sign me up. Okay, yeah. Yeah, and I think that's a totally fair take on it. Like you don't want to reach on the guy, especially if you don't really believe in him a ton. I'm gonna grab Rome here because I actually do like Caleb here. I like that ranking on him, but I will look at Caleb in the next round if he's there. And I think that gives me a good like solid wide receiver, like four wide receivers. Obviously like Rome, he's a little bit more risky, but I think these three guys give me that safe kind of floor. I think they're good enough to give me the floor. Tet's a rookie, but he should be the target dominant player there. Um, Let me get back to that. Uh, so yeah, you don't like take him at 2-3, but get him at the 3-4. Sign me up. Um, yeah, I totally agree with that because one second. Should be uh okay, okay. The audio should be good now. Sorry about that. Uh, so but yeah, I think that's a real good way to play it if you're not super into the guy. Um, then just getting him when he falls, and I think that's a good way to play it, and especially a guy like that who could have good upside even if you don't like him a lot. I think he does have good upside in that offense, so yeah, I like playing it like that. I do a similar thing with, I don't know, just with any guys I don't like. I think when you're building a portfolio, that's always the good move. Even if you're really out on a guy, if he falls a good amount, that's the time to get him. Um, JT best ball for sure. Lamar over Jaden. Uh, for sure Lamar over. Oh yeah. I totally agree with that. I think Jaden, he could catapult himself right up into that range, but that's doing some projection to try to pick him over Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. It's like those guys have proven they're kind of the top two like QB separators. Lamar Jackson, I think, can put up a higher score than any other QB, even Josh Allen in his best year. Um, I think just with his rushing upside, he has the highest upside of any QB. Josh Allen right there with him though. I think either of those two, you can't really go wrong. Uh, Same buy as Josh. Oh, for I think Lamar and Josh have the same buy, right? I think that's yeah, Lamar is 7 and then Josh is 7. Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, it is kind of interesting where the top two QBs have the same bye week. Um so here I am looking at Pollard. Uh it's kind of a short turn. So let me see what I might get back at each position. I'm gonna grab Pollard here, and then because I think I can get one of these receivers down to like Mooney, Ayuk, Reed, Golden. If I can get one of them, I'll feel pretty happy with that on the turn. Uh, we'll see what Steve does. Steve can kind of go any direction. You kind of have like a real balanced build, so kind of any direction will work for your team, I guess. Uh, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. That's like really good value on Joe Mixon, getting him at 59 too. Nice. That's pretty nice value. But yeah, I really like Tony Pollard in the range where he goes, especially like in the seeing Brian Robinson go over him. That's a little surprising to me. Um, but I think Tony Pollard, he's just kind of undervalued as the clear like kind of leader in that like the leader of that backfield. I think Tyjae Spears could mix in, but I think Tony Pollard's clearly the leader in that backfield. Um, but but yeah, I really like Tony Pollard's value. Maybe I should have grabbed a receiver. I mean, I do have four though that I feel pretty comfortable with, so it's not too bad. It is always a little bit of a debate, because I think Tony Pollard is a tier above these other running backs available, like Aaron. Well, I mean, you see Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason go very similar to each other, right? And then you see Cam Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy, their ADPs are right next to each other, so it's like I think Tony Pollard, there's a reason he has a significant gap to his backup. I think he's a little bit tier above those guys. Um, I could grab Hawkinson. I don't really have. Oh, actually, uh, Baker. I don't have any Miami. I could grab Caleb. I'll grab Baker. Because it is a little bit of a long turn, so I might not get Caleb back. So then that kind of gives me my first stack. Uh, I can get a little bit of Miami later. Like I can get Janu on here. That would actually work out pretty good. He might go before then, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Uh, Baker, I think he goes maybe a little bit high from where I would take him, but I think with the stack and especially with my other stacks being a little bit later, um, I don't mind that pick. Uh, you know, hopefully if I get like Johnny or something back, that would be really nice to have like kind of that little stack. But I think Baker and Evans, that's a good consistent stack. They have a lot of scoring upside. Uh, a lot of spike week upside together too. So Steve grabs and actually let me just go over my team real quick, like just overall. So I got Baker at QB, Ashton Genty, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard at running back. So I feel really solid with that. I'll probably avoid running back until I get like a good value back or something. Um, Mike Evans, Ted McMillan, Calvin Ridley, Romo Dunze at receiver. I feel pretty good with that. Like those four to start. I do feel like I do want to grab some more receivers before it totally dries up, which we're getting really close to that point. Um, yeah, so like I probably want to grab another maybe before we get down to that like Hollywood Brown range or something. I want to get at least one more. And then I don't have a tight end yet. Um, so for Steve's team, he has Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Rashi. Lamar Jackson at QB, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara at running back. So at receiver, Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Rashi, Khalil Shakir, Darnell Mooney. Um, yeah, I mean, I really like that start. I think that that's a really solid like wide receiver room. I'm up on the clock, so okay, yeah, Janu here. That worked out great. So then that gives me the week 17 stack with my Tampa Bay stuff, so that works out pretty good. Uh, so, oh yeah, I think Steve with your wide receiver room, like that's a good combo with those five. It gives you like a lot of consistent kind of target earners with Amon-Ra, Rashi Rice, Khalil Shakir, and then Mooney and Brian Thomas. I mean, Brian Thomas should be consistent target earner too, but they kind of give you that like spike week upside. So I really like that like kind of archetype mixing in there. And obviously Rice and Amon-Ra can give you spike week upside. They're just kind of more like consistent guys. Uh, and then those two RBs at the beginning too. I really like that. Lamar with Mark Andrews. Yeah, I mean that's like the go-to play that always feels good to stack up. I actually think Mark Andrews is really undervalued where he goes just in general, even if you didn't have Lamar. Um, he's a little bit older, so like I understand why people might be a little bit less in on him, just like his touchdown upside might not quite be there. But I don't know. I just feel like he gets a little bit undervalued because of his slow start. Um, he's still probably going to be the main like touchdown getter on that team in the receiving game. And last year he was coming in with a major injury. If he comes in a little bit better, then I think he could have a solid year for sure. Um, okay, so I'm probably gonna grab Shaheed. Oh, actually, I'm gonna grab Kyle Williams just a little bit ahead, and then that'll open up Drake May too as an option. And then so now I have Drake May, Cam Ward, and Bryce Young all available as options to stack. So I kind of like that. It gives me like a lot of outs at QB. Um, because even with Baker, I probably still do want three QBs on this team. Um, but I'll kind of see what comes back. Like yeah, I'll just kind of see what comes back, and I'll talk about that a little bit more. Uh, Steve grabs Andrews Bateman, so double stacking Lamar. Yeah, I like that turn. Uh, and I really like Andrews in a vacuum. Bateman, I'm like okay with him, but I think when you have Lamar, he's a great pick because he should be another big touchdown getter on that team. Uh, JT Best Ball for sure. Steve didn't this time, but sometimes Flowers will come back to Lamar guy there in the fifth. Oh yeah, that always feels really good when you get him back. If you can get him back in the fifth, I have seen that a little bit more recently. It feels like just people are maybe a little bit lower on Flowers in general, so he kind of makes it back a little bit more than maybe some other receivers. Like he has like more likelihood to fall than other receivers. It feels like sometimes, but it probably just depends on the room. Um, Steve said, thanks. Yeah, I don't really force Flowers because I think value as Andrews, Bateman, and Likely are better stacks. Um, yeah, I agree with that. I'm not a big fan of Flowers where he goes. I think if you do get him back, though, like if you got him back at 59, like I think then he is a good value. Wow, and this one he went at 44. A little bit surprising, but like I have seen him fall into the mid 50s and stuff. I think around there he's a good value. Maybe like especially once Ridley is gone, I think he's clearly the best. But I think any of these guys up to Ridley, you can really debate with them. You could even debate Waddle, Jordan Addison, stuff like that. But I think once Ridley's gone, it's like Flowers. You could have a pretty good argument he's the best receiver remaining. Um, okay, so let's see. So probably not grabbing a QB here. I still got a little while before um, yeah, I still got a little while before any of my guys come up. Yeah, I'm gonna grab Rashid Shaheed here. I think I don't take him a ton, but I could grab a second tight end. I could grab like Tucker Craft. I think Rashid Shaheed, he's a pretty good value there, especially with the receiver drying up so much. You go to ADP, it's like Jalen McMillan, Quentin Johnson are the next guys. I think that's a pretty good value. And especially like I was saying earlier, a guy I don't take a lot, he falls a little, but mainly because the guys that usually go after him are already taken. So it's not as much of a fall, but just kind of how the room is like taking the other guys up. Um Steve said, yeah, if he came back to 57 to 60, I'd go Flowers with the stack. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think I think around there, he's just a good value. I think he's a little bit overpriced as is, but I think if you get him back, then he's definitely a good value. And it's just a good value in the sense of like he's not gonna fall every time. So if you do get the fall, then it's worth taking, right? Um, but in this one, like see him go at 44. That was pretty surprising, actually. Um, all right, oh, I'm on the clock. Uh, I do really like David and Joku here. I could grab Rashad White. I don't need to grab Rashad White actually. I'm pretty set at yeah, I'm pretty set at RB right now. So I would like Rashad White to kind of give me a little bit of a stack with my guy, but I don't think I need to do that by any means. Even though it is a little bit more correlation, I think getting in Joku with my Janu, that gives me a solid tight end room. I probably would put a third on here, or I will put a third on here, but it gives me a little bit more flexibility where I can go with like a full punt guy at the end, and I can feel pretty safe with that tight end room. Let me go back to the board. Uh, Oh, JT Best Ball. Think I am a little more in on Flowers. I don't force him either, but 70 for 1,000 in that offense. If he falls in the end zone more than the 4 times he scored last year, he turns into a strong pick. Um, yeah, yeah, no, I agree with that. And he was pretty explosive actually, which I was pretty surprised with. Like on the player profiler. I'm gonna pull up Zay Flowers real quick. I should have on a different tab, sorry. But yeah, I was kind of surprised just with his explosiveness because it's like with Flowers, I kind of for some reason like I have the thought on him like he's kind of like a reception merchant kind of thing, but he was actually really good at explosive plays and he plays in an offense that could give him like it just gives him that opportunity, right? They have so many ways to score, so many threats. Um, some of his advanced stuff actually looked pretty good. Like his yards per route run also looked pretty good. Um, I haven't looked into him. I looked into him a little bit. But yeah, I definitely agree with you though on the touchdowns. He got pretty unlucky given his like yardage share. Uh, and yeah, if he goes up with the touchdowns, I mean, he could definitely go. I mean, he could definitely compete with any of these guys in the fourth round. So yeah, I don't hate that call at all. Uh Steve said exactly. Last year, Ridley had essentially the same production as Flowers last year, but Ridley is getting a massive offensive upgrade with Ward, whereas Flowers isn't getting better QB production. Um, yeah, I agree with that. I think the one thing that's a little bit worrisome with Flowers is that Lamar had a very high touchdown rate last year, which he has shown before, but it was very high even for like his career. So it does concern me a little if the touchdown volume goes down and Andrews is healthy. It could hurt the overall touchdown production, but 4 is pretty low in general. I'm gonna grab Bryce Young here because I have Tet. Yeah, I'm gonna grab Bryce Young here. Uh, that should be pretty good. So yeah, I like that. I have Tet McMillan, so locking up my kind of stack there. I like that. I don't have any Seattle pieces unfortunately, but that feels pretty good getting that. But yeah, but what you were saying with Ridley and Flowers, yeah, I think Lamar his touchdown rate was very high, but you could see Flowers improving the touchdowns. Ridley, I'm super in on. I totally agree. Like he'll be the main target earner in the Tennessee offense, and then Cam Ward, I mean maybe he busts, but even if he busts, he's probably an upgrade over Will Levis. So yeah, I like that call. I definitely lean Ridley in that scenario. Um, JT Best Ball, I can see an 80 for 1,000 and gets in 7-ish times a game as a realistic possibility. Uh, yeah, definitely 100%. I mean, that's not too far off from what he did, and that's just a little bit more touchdown luck. That doesn't seem crazy. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage loves a fire. Fantasy Football Garage player profiler explosiveness. Let's go. Yeah, I learned that trick from the garage. learn learn that trick. Let's see how explosive he is. But no, I knew it was Zay. His was really high, so I figured that was a good thing to bring up for him. So here I could grab Thielen, get my guy double stacked, but I actually like Cam Ward to get a third QB in here, especially since like Baker doesn't really have the rushing upside, so I feel like with him, he could have like lower low weeks, even though he should be a good QB overall. Bryce Young, a little bit of a production to jump up. And then Cam Ward, I like him a lot this year. So I think that's a solid 3 QB room. I think Thielen would have been a good pick for the correlation, the stack, but I already have Tet, so I don't really need it. Let me go back. Oh yeah, but the player profile explosiveness, yeah. I knew for Zay his was really high, so I knew he would be a good one to pull up. Uh, So Steve said, I just worry there's even more competition with Hopkins there. Oh, sorry, let me pull up the board. Uh, so Steve said, I just worry there's even more competition with Hopkins there. I just don't know if he'll ever be a big TD guy. Yeah, yeah, that is definitely a big concern with Zay. Um, Especially since I think Andrews could kind of I mean, he had a decent year last year just on touchdowns, but I think he could kind of reemerge as a bigger part of the offense without having that injury coming into the year. That's kind of my concern with Zay too, is he's just not the main option in the red zone. But touchdowns can be a little fluky too. So I'm like open to taking Zay even if he's not my favorite click. Um, Fantasy Football Garage. He gets 2 to 3 touchdowns from Andrews, another 1 to 2 from Bateman, and he's a huge hit. Right, exactly. I mean, because touchdowns are fluky. So like, even though I'm kind of a believer on Andrews, he did have a huge amount of touchdowns last year compared to his yardage. So like, touchdowns are the one thing. They're probably the biggest thing that can change year over year and be like kind of inconsistent year over year. Um, Fantasy Football Garage. He was okay with TDs in college, so maybe he figures it out. But I agree. Yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm on the clock. Um, Probably grab K dot in here. Get my. Let me switch to ADP real quick. Could grab Rico. Rico actually correlates. Nah, I'll grab K dot. I feel really confident with these three starting running backs. I can really push my last two to be full contingent guys. I mean, Rico kind of even probably is a full contingent guy anyway. Um, and then K dot, and that gives me a double stack with Baker, so that actually feels pretty good. And that finishes me at tight end with Janu and Joku and K dot. Uh, so back to Zay. He was okay with touchdowns in college, so maybe he figures it out. But I agree. Um, Steve said, "Yeah, what happens if Lamar only throws 32 touchdowns this year? It sucks because I like Flowers as a player, just don't like the price." Um, oh, Steve, damn, queuing error on likely as well. Forgot I still have him stacked or still had him starred. See, oh, so you got Likely and Andrews and Bateman. I mean, Likely and Andrews, it is a little bit interesting, like to pick them both. Like, I obviously like you're probably not making that click on purpose, but that is it's not the worst thing. They could both have spike weeks. They can kind of get you there, so it's not really the worst thing. But yeah, a little bit funny there. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, Steve, on the what happens if Lamar only throws 32 touchdowns. Um, I just think that is the really scary thing with picking the receivers in that offense, especially like with the early capital. So I'm gonna grab Devin Neal here. I think that's good. He correlates my Tennessee. I already have Shaheed. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Uh, but yeah, I think that's the big concern with the Ravens offense is just with the pass catching pieces is like if Lamar doesn't really hit that same touchdown rate, then some of the pieces are going to suffer, and you worry when one piece is so much more expensive than the rest, right? I mean, because Zay Flowers goes so much higher than all the other pass catchers. Like Derrick Henry goes the highest, obviously, but he's not much of a pass catcher. But it's just like when one pass catcher goes that much higher and they had such a high TD rate, when they've been a little bit inconsistent with it in the past, or not inconsistent, but his touchdown rate has kind of fluctuated a little, right? So I agree that is the main concern with Zay. And I think he's a guy too. Like there's some guys I'm kind of more out on that it's harder for me to see the argument. But Zay, like, I can totally see the argument both ways with him. Like, I'm a little bit lower on him, but I think that could be completely wrong. Like, if he gets 10 touchdowns, he could be a smash where he goes. And I'm kind of with you on I think the Ravens offense as a whole could throw a little bit less touchdowns, have a little bit less like volume there. That would not be very surprising to me. Um, 100% agree with the big price gap, and he hasn't shown he can pay off that price tag. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then especially when you're getting a guy like, you're getting Bateman this late, you're getting Mark Andrews this late. I mean, Mark Andrews is really the only guy who has proven to be, Lamar's favorite target in the red zone. He was coming off an injury last year, started out really slow. Like, if he's kind of back more healthy, he could take. I mean, he's probably not going to beat his touchdown number, but he might take a larger percentage share if their overall passing touchdowns are lower. He might be more involved in that. Even likely too. It's like those huge targets in the red zone. I mean, Bateman had a huge touchdown year, and he's the one I see the most like risk with maybe some regression because I know he had a lot of deep catches and stuff. Um, so I do see some of the like Bateman risk for regression, but oh sorry. I was kind of figuring out who I was gonna grab. Uh Let me make this pick real quick. Um I think I'll grab Slayton. Um yeah, I don't really have a strong take on any of these running backs. I like Slayton here. I think he can give you a little bit of spike week upside. Uh so yeah, I just like grabbing him at the end. That's not too bad. Um Maybe I could yeah, I feel good with that because I already have Miami and New Orleans correlation. Seattle, I could have grabbed like Torrey Horton or something, but I'd rather grab a guy like Slayton who will definitely be on the field. Um, uh, oh right. But with the price tag, yeah, it's like I just think he's the riskiest of them all. Like even though his touchdown rate seemed lower than it should be last year, you just don't know how much that's going to improve. Um, and Bateman too. Like Bateman, uh he was really solid last year. Like obviously his volume wasn't super high and maybe he did get a little bit lucky with touchdowns, but maybe that's also him kind of putting it together, kind of stepping up as a player, right? So it is a little bit tough to see like is Zay Flowers even really the alpha wide receiver in that on that team? And like you said too, I guess I kind of even forget about it a little bit, but like D Hop, like that's another very big body receiver who's going to be in the red zone and could steal some of that away too. Um, so yeah, I mean, 116 targets for him. Like Bateman had like 75. So I'm gonna grab here. I like Estime. Estime is an alright click. Like Corum, Chubb. Could grab Taj Brooks too. Uh, Estimate week 12. I don't have any week 12. I'll grab Estimate. That works out. Uh, but yeah. Yeah, no, that's kind of the thing with the Ravens. I think just with the highest price guy, it just feels a little bit risky with where he goes. Um, That's a good point. Lamar's TD is hard to get 40 plus consistently. Yeah. I mean, he don't get me wrong, because they did switch offensive systems like 2 years ago, and it definitely could be an improving offensive system. Maybe he'll push higher to that number regularly. I don't think that's way out of the realm of possibility or anything like that. I just think his touchdown rate was very high last year, so like I would expect it to fall just like some from that. But I think he could still have in the 30s like pretty realistically. Uh like let me pull up. I'm just pulling up his touchdown rate. Yeah, so last year, so I'll let me pull this up on the other tab, and then that way you guys can see it. Uh so yeah, so right here, the touchdown percentage, like if you look career average, so it's this one right here. So in 2019 when he was MVP, right, he had 9%. Last year, 2024, he had 8.6. And then his next best after that is 2020 with 6.9. But then 2023, 5.3, 2022, 5.2, 4.2, 3.5 is as a rookie. So, don't even really consider that. But his average is 6.4. I just think with maybe if that 8.6 goes more down to like, let's even say like one of his better years, like closer to 7, then it could hurt the touchdown equity in the team. Or like passing touchdown equity in the team. Uh, all right. Is is Bateman just expensive Alec Pierce? Um, he might be. I mean, his target shares uh his target shares did go up though, like quite a bit. Um, I mean, 72 targets. I guess he did have 67 in 2021, so maybe that's just kind of more injury related. I mean, I mean that is one way to put it. That it's not the worst thought. It's not the worst thought. I do think Alec Pierce and Bateman though, the offense is like, even if Lamar's touchdown rate goes down, they're probably still throwing a lot more touchdowns, being a lot more red zone opportunities than the Colts. But that's not too bad of a thought. I mean, they're kind of similar players in a way too. But that's a funny one, Candyman. Uh, According to Player Profiler, both Flowers and Bateman had the same number of red zone targets, 8, which ranks in the 50s. Obviously, Flowers had 40 plus more total targets. Huh. Um, that is that is kind of interesting. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I didn't see that. So the same amount of red zone targets with that many more total targets. Huh. Yes, I mean maybe Bateman is just like a little bit, just more trusted guy in the red zone too, and that is a little bit scary for Flowers, because even though he is a good player and he is explosive, it's like if he's not getting targeted in the red zone, it's going to make it really hard for him to pay off that ADP, especially with being a run heavy team where maybe the pass volume isn't the craziest. Uh, Fantasy Football Garage. The more I look at Alec Pierce, the more I think he should be going in the top 120. Uh, yeah, I think with him, yeah, I mean, I could see it, especially if they go with Dimes and he's a little bit better passer. I mean, Alec Pierce that did look pretty good last year. Um, in the top, let's see, I actually kind of want to look quick now that you said that. So in the top 120, um, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of rookies. Marvin Mims. I think I told you before. I'm with you on Marvin Mims. I'm not really buying Marvin Mims. I think if he got a Denver stack or something, he's all right. He has upside. He didn't really get much route participation. It's just scary with a guy like that. Like, does he ever actually get the route participation? But yeah, I mean, with a lot of these guys, I mean, I don't know. I guess it's not too hard to see the case. It's just the QB play in Indy and then maybe like a little bit crowded room. And then Shaheed, I think, is like a decent amount better player, but I think the injury is scary and the QB situation is scary. But Indy has the same thing with a scary QB situation. Um, yeah, that is kind of an interesting thought though. Uh, so, yeah, I think Bateman is like Pierce, but with an MVP caliber QB and prob less competition. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying too. Is like Danny Dimes, A Rich, like Danny Dimes should be a little bit better than A Rich, but the touchdowns probably aren't going to be there as much as Baltimore, and the competition in Indy, like Pittman, Downs, and AD Mitchell, even it's going to be hard for Pierce to get a lot of like as many routes as those guys. Uh, Best ball on call. Two tight ends down there too. Baltimore. Oh, for Steve. Yeah. Just for. Yeah. To take away the touchdowns. Yeah. I totally agree with that. They have a lot of threats to take away the like red zone targets, touchdowns, or just targets in general. Uh, Steve, yeah, I just looked it up. Andrews had 15 red zone targets and Likely had 13. Wow, Likely had 13. That's actually a little bit surprising to me. The Andrews 15, that's not too surprising, but Likely at 13, that's more than I would have expected, I guess. But I guess it makes sense, I mean, those guys are just so giant. They're like giant targets in the red zone. And I I actually do plan on doing a little bit of research into this. I haven't really looked into it, but I have seen like I've seen some stuff where they say like rushing quarterbacks tend to throw in the red zone a lot more to like tight ends and running backs and less to receivers. And that's something I'm definitely going to kind of look into like later and stuff, kind of see more like how true that is. But that's something I've kind of been hearing that I kind of want to look into. Um, I can't remember. Maybe it was you guys talking about it, you and Meg. I don't think so. It could have been though. If it was, then sorry. I can't remember for sure. Um oh, but so okay, so I'm gonna go over the teams real quick. Uh I might do another. Uh I'm not sure. Let me go over the teams real quick first. Um Okay, so I got Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, Cam Ward at quarterback. I feel really good with that quarterback room. I like that overall. Uh, I like all three of those guys where they go. So I feel really solid with that quarterback room. Um, Running back, I got Ashton Genty, Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Devin Neal, Estime. I feel pretty good with that running back room overall. Kind of got the double anchor. Took another guy in the mid rounds who I feel really confident about, like a locked in starter, and then just two contingent guys at the end. I kind of like building my running back rooms like that. You know, maybe you could argue you'd want a fourth guy who's a little bit better than like Devin Neal. Um, but I think having the three consistent starters and two of them near the top where they should be like hopefully top 10 running backs. I feel pretty good building a running back room like that. And that receiver, I have Mike Evans, Tet McMillan, Calvin Ridley, Romo Dunze, Kyle Williams, Rashid Shaheed, Darius Slayton. Um, I think with this wide receiver room, I feel pretty good with it overall. I think Evans, Tet, Ridley, they should give me consistent targets, consistent floor at receiver. Where Rome, Williams, they're a little bit more gambles. And then Shaheed, I think only because of his injury, maybe a little bit because of the QB play. But I did get him pretty late. I got him at a pretty good value. Uh, I think that this is a pretty good receiver room overall. Oh, and that had Slayton at the end. He gives you a little bit of spike week upside, and he should be on the field running routes, even though, probably not hitting your lineup a ton. But I feel pretty good having like those three consistent guys, and then maybe three kind of more upside swings. You could argue it's a little bit light at wide receiver, definitely. But I like this like construction overall. I think it's like a good build at the receiver, having not taken a receiver in the first two rounds, like given the starting two running backs. And then at tight end, I have Janu and Joku, Kate Otten. Um, so Janu Smith, David and Joku, Kate Otten. I feel pretty good. I guess I do have the double week 9 bye, but that's my tight end 2 and 3, so it's not too concerning. Um, I feel pretty good with that overall. Kate Otten was more just because I have him stacked. But Janu, he's a guy who should be like consistent target getter. I don't pick a ton of Janu, but he should get consistent targets. David Njoku is a big play threat at tight end, even if he plays on like a subpar offense. And then Kate Otten, he stacks. He should get a decent amount of targets in that offense, even with other like target getters around him. Um, and then the bill was 3-5-7-3. So I feel pretty good with that team overall. Um, yeah, I like it overall. And then oh wait, no, we weren't. Oh, with rushing QBs and the tight ends. Yeah, I heard it on a show yesterday. I can't remember where it was, but that's something I'm gonna kind of look into. But yeah, with the rushing QBs and the tight ends. JT Best Ball, gotta go. Kids are home and have dad things to do, but I will be on tonight if you want to come hang out. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and check out JT Best Ball's channel. He streams I think every night like 7:45 Pacific time. And I'm gonna look at Steve's team. Uh, so Steve went with Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, Michael Penix. Uh, so I mean, yeah, that's super solid QB room, like killer QB room. Um, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Jadon Blue, Will Shipley, Brashard Smith. Um, I mean, I like the running back room. I think it's maybe Jaden Blue is just kind of a risky like RB3. But I think it does give you a path to like huge upside at that running back, like at running back, right? If Jadon Blue hits, then your running back room can be great, even though you didn't spend a crazy amount of capital on it. And then obviously, Shipley and Brashard Smith as contingent bets. maybe Brashard Smith takes over that kind of McKinnon role, so he's not even so contingent bet. Um, See, I think at running back, pretty solid overall, but let me see the and mixing Kamara. I mean, that's a great duo. Should be able to carry you through most weeks anyway. But if Blue hits, then you have a real supercharged running back room. So let me see the other positions. Oh, right, and he started three straight receivers. That's right. Amon-Ra, Brian Thomas, Rashi Rice, Khalil Shakir, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Tyler Lockett. And then you got Thomas with T Law. You got Mooney with Penix. You got Bateman with Lamar. And then Tyler Lockett at the end. So I think at receiver, I think that's really solid overall, actually. I mean, you have three top guys, the first three picks, all receivers. Um, I would question a little bit, and like this is more just my personal take, but like Shakir on this team, where you do have like so much capital early. Now, granted, you did take the first three, and then you went quarterback, then two running backs. So that does make some sense. Um, but I just wonder if maybe a player like a little bit more of an upside swing archetype could have been good there. Um, but I mean, I think overall your receiver room is super solid. Like I don't think it's a really good receiver room overall because then you do have because like I was just saying with like Shakir, like okay, you pick Shakir, but then you have Mooney, so maybe you did kind of balance it out more than I was saying. Like where Mooney is that more spike week guy, like he is consistently getting targets, but he can give you those big spike weeks. Same thing with Bateman and Lockett on the end. I think I agree with that. Just a good value. Um, so I think the wide receiver room's really solid. Uh, Tight end Andrews and Likely, which is fine to get those two together. It's not that bad actually. Like, I mean, they can both be viable the same week. They play a lot of two tight end sets. Like, I don't think that's not too bad at all. And then Mason Taylor at the end. I like him where he goes. I think that's a good value. Um, let's see what you said. So, yeah, Steve said, yeah, that was not what I wanted for my RB room. I was hoping to only do two tight ends and take six total. But that screw forced me to take a third. Right, because you got Likely and Andrews. Okay, yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think even with that being said, though, like your running back room can be totally fine. I mean, Mixon and Kamara should give you very consistent scoring every week and Jaden Blue or Shipley, if like Saquon goes down or something, they can really supercharge it. And Brashard Smith could be a nice consistent piece with touchdown upside if he takes over that kind of like pass catching role in that offense. And I think your wide receiver room totally solid, starting with three straight. Um, and then Shakir, Mooney, Bateman. I think like Shakir, worst case, like he does fill in on bye weeks, and maybe on that offense, like maybe he does hit a little bit more touchdown upside this year just because they'll score so much. Um, and then Mooney, I like where he goes. I think that's just a good pick in general, but he should be able to give you spike weeks too. Bateman, he's stacked, but also gives you spike weeks. And then Lockett at the end, good like kind of bye week filling guy in my opinion with Lockett, stuff like that. Maybe like week 8, your top two guys are on bye, so maybe Lockett can kind of help you fill in that week, something like that. Uh, and then yeah, like I said, Tyron solid. So yeah, I think that's a really solid team overall. Oh, and you got good value on Penix too. So yeah, I mean, I think real solid team overall, real solid build. Um, no like super weaknesses. Even if running backs maybe like a tiny bit thin, I think with these two top guys, you can feel totally fine building it like that. I don't think you'd really have to worry about that at all. Um, Haha, I need Lamar to throw for 40 touchdowns again. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just all of them, not to Flowers. That's what you need. But but yeah, I think with where you picked them though, like if Mark Andrews just hits, all your other guys are a little bit like lower on your team, so it's not as crazy. But yeah, you definitely want Lamar to have a nice year with having that many Baltimore pieces and then let both tight ends hit. Um, so I think I think I'll probably hop off now. I know that you guys over on Fanspeak are I think Meg's doing her stream with PPR Tyler in just like at 3, right? Or at 3 Pacific. Um, so actually, let me pull that up real quick. See, I think I'm gonna hop off after that one. Uh I do really want to say though, thank you guys for coming in the chat, kind of hanging out. I know I was having a little bit of issues with the pulling the chat up and everything, but I really do appreciate you guys like coming out, like, checking out the stream and stuff, kind of just hanging out with me, talking ball. Like it always feels real good to have like, people to talk to and stuff. So I'm not just rambling about like my team or whatever. Um, but yeah, let me post the uh so that's the link to Fanspeak. They're having PPR Tyler on in I think about 15 minutes. So that should be pretty good. I think they're doing that like every Friday. Uh 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, Friends with Best Ball with PPR Tyler. Okay, right. Okay, yeah. So in about 15 minutes. Um, and then if anyone watches this back too, check out like Fantasy Football Garage. He has a great channel. He streams every night, pretty much, like multiple times a week. JT Best Ball streams pretty much every night. Best Ball and Call is a really good channel. And then was there anyone else in here? I don't think so. But yeah, but check out Fanspeak Network, Best Ball on Call, JT Best Ball, Fantasy Football Garage. They all have great channels. They all stream a lot. And thank you guys a ton for coming in, chatting it up and stuff. I really appreciate that. I'm still trying to improve and stuff. So if there's anything you think I can improve and stuff, other than I'm gonna get the chat thing figured out. But other than that, like let me know. And yeah, thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. But hey, have a good day, everyone. And I'll probably see you guys again in the fan speak chat in like 15 minutes. So see ya. Oh yeah, Emo Cowboy, Fantasy Sanctuary is the channel that he streams on. Um oh, and they're actually doing the stream tonight with Best Ball Guy and PPR Tyler, the Typhel Tower. It's gonna be on Fantasy Sanctuary. So yeah. Yeah, that's right. That was the one. But yeah, he has emo cowboy Typhel Tower. I mean, that's a great show every week. Usually it's on Thursdays, but today they're doing it on Friday. But yeah, check out all those channels. Fanspeak, Fantasy Sanctuary, JT Best Ball, Fantasy Football Garage, Best Ball on Call. There's a lot of great content creators out here putting out a lot of good info. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. Just being able to hang out with you guys, talk some ball. It was really fun, really good time. But thank you. And I'll see you guys again soon.